Why it's terrible to own a Lamborghini Aventador. It finally arrived at your 3-car garage. Your new Lamborghini Aventador majestically occupies the space where your BMW and Mercedes used to fit. What an inconvenience, right? The scissor doors open vertically, like wings of a futuristic fighter jet, and you have to be careful not to hit the ceiling of your mere $500,000 garage. The sound of the 760 horsepower V12 engine awakens your entire nervous system. Unfortunately, it also wakes up the entire gated community in Bel Air. What an existential dilemma to face first thing in the morning. The salesman at the Beverly Hills dealership treated you like royalty throughout the entire process. A true martyrdom, having to choose between 50 Italian leather finishing options and 10 different types of carbon fiber for the center console. And that French champagne tasting while you signed the papers? Totally unnecessary. You just wanted to grab the keys and leave, but had to endure another 20 minutes of explanations about the Bang & Olufsen sound system. What suffering! Then came the really difficult part, deciding which black credit card to use for the $100,000 deposit. An impossible choice between accumulating miles for your next trip to the Maldives or points for your new Swiss watch. And then the manager had the audacity to offer financing with extremely low interest rates, as if you needed it. The humiliation of having to politely decline and explain that you prefer to pay cash. And of course, there was that embarrassing moment when you had to take a photo with the entire dealership team for their social media. 20 minutes wasted when you could have been trying out your new acquisition. Welcome to the world of first world problems on 4 wheels, where every inconvenience comes wrapped in carbon fiber and smells like Italian leather. Driving home was another ordeal. Your new Aventador had barely left the dealership when the first smartphone appeared to photograph you at the traffic light on Wilshire Boulevard. The embarrassment of having to decide between casually looking ahead, pretending this happens all the time, or smiling and waving like a B-list celebrity. No one prepares you for this kind of social dilemma. The first time you floored the accelerator on Pacific Coast Highway, the acceleration from 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds made you feel more G-force than the Millennium Falcon entering hyperspace. Your $400 Ray-Ban sunglasses almost flew off your face. A narrowly avoided tragedy. And how do you explain to your doctor that you have neck pain, not from any productive activity, but because you decided to test lateral acceleration on the curves of Mulholland Drive? Finding a good spot for that perfect Instagram photo was another Calvary. You had to drive for nearly 30 minutes until you found a lookout with an ocean view that did justice to your Lamborghini's aggressive lines. And then wait another 20 minutes until all the tourists left the frame. When you finally got the perfect shot, you discovered you had only 382 likes after 2 hours. Clearly, the algorithm is against you. The reality of owning an Aventador in daily life is full of these small frustrations. How do you explain to the In-N-Out Burger drive-thru employee that you can't reach the order through the window because the car is too low? You have to open the scissor door completely, creating an involuntary spectacle for everyone present, just to grab your double-double. And don't even get me started on the humiliation of having to ask for help removing the milkshake lid while keeping your hands on the steering wheel. Parking at Century City Mall is another daily ordeal. The spaces seem to have been designed for Priuses and Civics, not for an Italian masterpiece that's 7.5 feet wide. You're forced to take up 2 spots in the most distant corners of the parking garage, adding a 3-minute walk to your routine. Not to mention the constant worry about runaway shopping carts and regular car doors opening too close to your hand-painted bodywork. And speed bumps? A true form of discrimination against supercars. Each one is like a small Everest for your Aventador with only 4 inches of ground clearance. You've developed a mental map of every street in Los Angeles with speed bumps and rerouted your daily commute to avoid them completely, adding an extra 15 minutes to your trip to work. Tragedy. Fueling your Lamborghini is another surreal experience. You stop at the premium Shell station in Beverly Hills, and immediately all eyes turn to you. The pressure to perfectly execute the refueling ritual is overwhelming. And then comes the moment to pay, $200 to fill the tank. You see the attendant's look as your Amex Centurion slides through the machine, a mixture of admiration and silent judgment that you have to endure at least twice a week. Oh, and the fuel economy. Your Aventador manages an impressive 6 miles per gallon in the city. This means you can basically watch the fuel gauge moving in real time while driving down Sunset Boulevard. A true Zen meditation exercise, watching your money literally evaporate while you appreciate the roar of the V12 engine. Maintenance is where the real fun begins. Your first 5,000-mile service cost more than a new Honda Civic. The dealership technician patiently explained that your Lamborghini needs special synthetic oil imported directly from Italy, apparently extracted by Vestal virgins during the full moon. and blessed by the ghost of Ferruccio Lamborghini personally. Tire changes are another moment of financial joy. A new set of custom Pirelli P0 tires costs the same as a semester at a state university, and you need to replace them every 10,000 miles if you want to maintain that perfect grip around corners. The worst part is, you've developed an addiction to launch control acceleration that's drastically shortening the life of your rear tires. What a terrible and financially irresponsible habit you can't abandon. And when something actually breaks, prepare for bureaucratic hell. Your Aventador can only be taken to authorized dealerships, where each hour of labor costs the same as dinner for 4 at Nobu. Taking your Lamborghini for service at the Beverly Hills dealership is like handing Tony Stark's arc reactor to a stranger. You just hope everything comes back working properly. The separation anxiety while you wait in the VIP lounge, sipping Italian espresso and eating French macarons, is almost unbearable. There's also the constant terror of scratching that custom paint job that cost an extra $20,000. You've developed a sixth sense for detecting children with ice cream within a 50-meter radius, and parking near normal cars has become unthinkable. The idea of someone clumsily opening their SUV door against your precious Lamborghini gives you nightmares. Social interactions transform completely when you own an Aventador. Meetings with friends now always start with 10 minutes of conversation about your car. How much did it cost? What's the top speed? Can I take a ride? A martyrdom having to repeat the same answers every time. And that friend who always asks to drive? What an uncomfortable situation having to explain that your $8,000 monthly insurance policy only covers you as the driver. There's also the terrible experience of arriving at a fancy Malibu restaurant and having the valet treat you like you're some kind of modern royalty. The 20-something guy practically trembling as he takes your keys, promising to park in the best spot, directly in front of the establishment. Such embarrassment when all the other customers watch you getting out of the car as if you were some kind of celebrity. Walking around Rodeo Drive with this Lamborghini generates more stares than a Jedi with a lightsaber on the New York subway. People literally stop what they're doing to look and point. Some even ask to take photos next to your car, as if it were a mobile tourist attraction. What an ordeal having to decide whether you should be polite and stop, or pretend you didn't hear and keep walking. Traveling with your Aventador is another wonderful experience. The trunk has space for exactly one medium-sized suitcase, forcing you to send the rest of your luggage separately to the hotel when planning a Vegas weekend. What an inconvenience. And driving for more than 2 hours straight, the rigid sports seat, designed to keep you in place during high-speed turns, starts transforming your spine into a creative interpretation of the letter S. American roads clearly weren't made for Italian supercars. Every small imperfection in the Interstate 5 asphalt becomes a seismic event inside the cabin. The ultra-stiff suspension, perfect for track days at Laguna Seca, transforms a highway trip into an involuntary physical therapy session. And don't even think about using the car's native GPS for long trips. Inexplicably, the navigation system of a $500,000 vehicle has the interface and processing speed of a 2005 Nokia. You end up having to use Google Maps on your iPhone, attached to a mount that looks completely out of place in the Lamborghini's futuristic interior. The indignity. Stopping to refuel every 125 miles during a coast trip is another exercise in patience. Each stop becomes a 20-minute Q&A session with curious admirers, transforming a 4-hour trip into a 6-hour marathon. Is it really yours? What do you do for a living? Can I take a picture? Privacy becomes a distant concept when you drive a car that looks like it came straight from a teenager's bedroom poster. Arriving at a hotel is another social ordeal. The valet immediately abandons any other customer to serve you first, creating resentful looks from guests who were waiting. The hotel manager magically appears for a personalized check-in, treating you like royalty, all while you just want to go to your room and take off your shoes after hours of driving. And then comes the greatest tragedy of all. Lamborghini releases the new Aventador SVJ. Suddenly, your old model seems obsolete. Those extra 60 horsepower of the new model and the redesigned rear spoiler make all the difference, don't they? How can you continue living knowing that your $500,000 car is no longer top of the line? Sleepless nights contemplating whether you should upgrade for another $200,000 for essentially the same car, with some cosmetic tweaks and a little more power. The tragedy of seeing your own car in an online auction, with only 1 year of use, being sold for $80,000 less than you paid. Depreciation is the kryptonite of supercars. Your solid financial investment is melting faster than ice cream in the Nevada desert. Meanwhile, That annoying friend who bought Tesla stock instead of a sports car won't stop mentioning how his investment tripled in the same period. Existential doubt also starts to emerge. Should you have bought a Ferrari instead? Ferrari owners seem to form an even more exclusive club. They have special events and access to private racetracks. Maybe you chose the wrong supercar? What a terrible automotive identity crisis to face. And so the days continue, one after another, full of these difficulties. The constant noise of cell phone cameras when you park anywhere public, the need to memorize alternative routes through the city to avoid potholes and speed bumps, the anxiety of leaving your precious vehicle with an unknown valet. But in the end, despite all these problems, there's something about hearing that V12 engine roaring at 7,000 RPM that makes it all worthwhile. There's something about the scissor doors opening to the sky that still makes you smile like a child. There's something about the aggressive, futuristic lines that makes you turn your head to look at the parked car every time you walk away from it. And maybe that's the biggest problem of all. Even with all these inconveniences, you can't imagine driving anything else. You're ruined for normal cars for the rest of your life. What a terrible fate, isn't it? And that's how the tragic experience of owning a Lamborghini Aventador ends. See you in the next video for more luxury sufferings. Cheers.